think the problem is that when you start out with any creative endeavor, you have a lot of goals. You know, I spoke before about how I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing in terms of the technical standards or the just general know-how of the podcast, as well as the motivation. It's all a big question. But I did set for myself some goals or some guidelines. Maybe let's think of it that way. And sometimes guidelines are positive. You know, they set out where you want to go. It's a forward motion. It's a destination. And sometimes guidelines are the things you don't want to be. You know, maybe you derive the positive ones from that. Maybe that should be the right way to approach it. But still, in your mind, and in my mind, rests the negative association. The thing I don't want to be when I'm trying out something new. Some creative output for the first time. And it's unfortunate because today I become everything I wanted to not become about podcasting. And you know, the podcasters that I watch, I really love what they do. Obviously, I enjoy their content. I keep coming back. I subscribe. And I want to keep watching, you know, no matter what they do, ups and downs. And the truth is that a lot of, when you're doing a weekly episode and when it's an off the cuff, off the script podcast, and when you've got a following, these are not things I have, just to be 100% clear, but I'm talking about the podcasters that I'm inspired by. When you've got a following, when you've got a whole thing going on, maybe you've got a tour going on, maybe you've got tried and tested jokes that the fans love, that you like coming back to, and maybe you've got other things going on in your busy life as a content creator and impressive person in general. And those there can come a point in those podcast episodes, in that whole line, you know, pumping out one a week, when the content can drop off and the quality can drop off. And it can become a kind of tick box exercise where the host is like, oh yeah, you know, just reading off news of the week stuff I saw on TikTok. And you know, I just I'll go through the usual segments that we do. By the way, my tour's coming up. Oh, how we feel? 40 minutes? Great, I'm out. And you know, I'm not a huge fan of those episodes. Filler, I suppose, is one word. But definitely there's a flippancy and a nonchalance and a low quality to it that makes me think like, well, just don't record the episode. Like, I don't mind a dud episode. I don't mind a slow one, especially, as I say, like, there's a lot of like off the cuff, improv, unscripted stuff that I listen to. And so you can't be funny 100% of the time. Maybe you can try, but not everything's going to land every episode 100% perfect. That's all good. I'm happy with that. It's when you phone it in and you really show the sausage being made by looking over at the clock and counting how many minutes you've got left and talking about, you know, satisfying the algorithm and all that stuff. And also coming into the episode with nothing to say and maybe going like, and making it up on the spot. So these are all things, you know, that I had in mind as I first turned on that mic. And, you know, almost 20 episodes later, I'm pleased to say that I meant to say everything on every episode. I don't think I've done a filler one. I don't think I've watched the clock. I think I've always come in with something to say and tried to land the episode somewhere, land the quote unquote discussion with myself somewhere. And so the problem is today, dear listener, dear beloved listener, is that I failed. I've let myself down. The things that I said I didn't want to do, I'm doing. And I am turning on the mic. I've turned on the mic today. Maybe you've already can tell. I don't necessarily have something that I want to talk about. But here's the truth, dear listener. I wanted to talk. And that matters to me. It matters to me that I feel the pull, that I feel the desire. So yeah, I hope you will forgive an episode that's maybe a little less me trying to say something about something, or maybe you think I should give that shit a rest, and maybe this is your favorite episode so far. But rather than have a topic to talk about, I think I just want to share with you my mental state of being and give you an update on my life. And mostly I just want to sit behind the microphone and communicate with you in whatever manner and about whatever topic, because yeah, I've really missed it. Honestly, I've really missed it. It's been a few weeks, and I've continued the trend. Unclear is still on tour. You'll be pleased to know. You see me in a different location, yet again, different time of the day. So just keep mixing it up. Different shirt, new shirt. If you're watching the video, you can see got a new shirt going on. It's my favorite at the moment. Much like, the joy of seeing people for the first time in a while is you get to, which again is the theme of the tour, reuniting friends, seeing each other after a time, and feeling all the feelings while we do that. And one of those feelings is, hey, it was nice to receive a brand new t-shirt, and B, I look great in this, so now I have to wear it to every one of my reunion hangouts with every friend, so that they can see me looking at my best in my fresh white tee. But then, of course, inevitably, it's the summer, and that's a lot of meeting up with people. So this very same t-shirt got grubby today, and I had to gingerly put it through the laundry and begin, the next phase of its life. And isn't that just a delightful metaphor for where the heck I'm at? It's been a wild old time. The tour, as I say, continues. The reunions continue, and I just had sort of 3 weeks of a very intense version of that. Just back to back, we had weddings, a lot of babies, and maybe I've said both of those things before. I'm happy to say them again, because it's really truly joyous how everyone has these majestic and grand things to catch up on in their lives, such as procreating and being wed. So it's been fantastic to do those things, but again, exhausting. And there has literally not been a moment when I've been able to set up the microphone and genuinely commit. Even though these episodes are short, there's a mental state of being, there's a seclusion of space, there's a dedication of mind that I do like to get into, and for that reason, I just haven't been able to. So this is, like I say, genuinely a treat to be back and communicating with you once again. I'm pleased because I've got to see a lot of people, again, as I hoped and feared, that have seen the podcast. Maybe you're watching right now again. Maybe you've already told me that you've watched an episode, and then we've talked about that. And now this is happening again. You're hearing me talking about it, and it's gone full circle. Amazing. But, people have mentioned it, and that means a lot to me. And some people have started to ask, are you recording another episode? So, of course, I had to. So all of these things are very much motivating me to get back behind the microphone. But yeah, truly, it's been a lot, as well as all this reunions and catching up with old friends going on. I'm changing jobs, so that's massive. I'm looking through my portfolio, which was the reason for a couple of episodes ago. I'm looking at all my work. I'm thinking about what are my skill sets. I'm wondering how long I want to stay in Toronto, how long I want to stay on tour, and when I actually want to go back to Italy. So I just feel like it's all change, and something is sort of compelling me to say that it probably is important to capture this moment. So I'm taking all my pictures. I'm trying to post a little bit more on social media just to keep things up. But also, I'm trying to commit time to this very podcast here, because I think it's maybe crucial to capture this moment in my life as things are going through such change, as the tour and all its happenings are so spectacular and so tumultuous. Maybe it's important to commit that to tape and see that as much of the process, because I look back and I listen back to music, which again I've spoken about before, listening back to my songs, which I do periodically, it does transport you back to a time. So maybe I'll be able to look back on YouTube when I have 5 million subscribers and I'm incredibly famous as a content creator. Maybe I'll be able to look back and look at this moment and say, well, I'm glad I didn't give up, because I'll be honest with you, I have thought about it, obviously. The numbers haven't popped off. I'm not seeing those emails from advertising companies to get those sponsorship deals. No one's approached me about merch. And as it's got hard to commit time to anything, let alone even see friends enough, I have thought, well, what if I never pick up the microphone again? But again, I have been just thinking about it so much that I knew I had to do it. So I'm glad I'm here. And yeah, as I say, the truth is I usually have a topic that I want to sit down and talk about. And I don't have one of those at all. I just want to commit this moment to tape and acknowledge that I feel very grateful for the life that I lead. Doing this tour is cool. I thought that I would feel no ways about coming back to Toronto. I thought it'd be a really cool vacation, cool to see friends, and that would be it, really. And I thought that I would, other things would just kind of like be plain sailing, be straightforward. This paperwork that I'm working on, this like document stuff that I'm working on, I kind of figured it would just all come back to me and be super simple and straightforward. And so I didn't really think about things too much. I was definitely, as you've heard, stressed about the notion of moving and like being in a suitcase for 6 months. But now that I'm here and I've spent time here, I'm so grateful to be here. And the obvious question comes up of how long do I want to be here? And that, again, is adding to the tumultuous nature of my life right now. But it's just interesting to contemplate the question, because being here and enjoying it so much and getting back to my old things and getting back to my old habits and haunts, as well as seeing the people that I love, it obviously reminds you that this is a place that is great for you. And this is a place I feel super comfortable and a place I feel very much myself. And so, yeah, I just thought it would be a nice vacation to pop back and feel those feelings. But, because they're so powerful, those emotions of how you might identify yourself when you're in a place, it just, this is home now, immediately. Again, it's not like, oh, I'm chilling or whatever. And I've been here for 2 months, so I'm allowed to feel settled in. But also, it's been chaos, so there's been no time to settle in. But among the chaos, it's like, when I'm tired, and I wonder if you guys feel this way, but when I'm tired, the thought that carries me through is, I'll be home eventually. I'll be in my bed eventually. I'll be chilling. Yes, I'm knackered right now. Yes, I've still got a ways to go. Yes, there's still effort to put in, sure. And it might get worse than it is now if it's, something physically, whatever. But at the end of the day, I am going to land back in my bed. And I'll get a good night's sleep. And the good parts of this are going to be worth it. So, when I think about that, I imagine my bed. And, it just comes to mind. I'm like getting myself into bed and feeling tucked up, feeling the relief of being over the stress of what's up. And when I was in Rome and it was a long night, I'd be like, well, at least I'll be home soon. And I'd imagine my bed in Rome, in my apartment in Rome, chilling. Got nice AC on there, got the shutters closed, very tall windows, very European, I imagine it in there. Weird poster. It's the landlord's poster, but it's over the bed. It's like a weird sort of cubist sex poster, but great. And I imagine that bed. And, when I was here, first few days, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so long. And specifically when I landed, my first on-tour episode was from an apartment I really enjoyed staying in. But let me tell you, I arrived there and it was so ridiculous. We were super communicative on the text, right? But they were leaving their apartment on the same day I was leaving mine. We're both flying on the same day. So inevitably there's some time when we're not in phone contact. And basically at the worst possible moment, like I arrive and I'm like, oh, where's the key at, by the way? And they text me back and they go, oh, shit, whatever. We didn't get the key to you. And our neighbor's going to be coming by. And they'll get the key to you. And it'll be in like an hour. And I'm just like, off a 10-hour flight, like I've been through all the stress that I've communicated on these episodes. And I was just like fully zapped. I don't know where I am. I don't know what the time is. I don't know what the apartment's going to be like when I get there. So I haven't even there's nothing that I'm looking forward to, right? Because I don't know if it's going to be good or bad even. I've just committed to this house swap. So I'm nervous about it. And then here are these guys being like, oh yeah, you can't get in for an hour and we know you're there, but nothing we can do. So good luck. Utterly wild. And so I'm stood on the porch of this bloody place and I'm thinking about my bed in Rome and I'm thinking, that's where I want to lay my head and that's where I want to rest. And that's the place that I get to go back to. And let me tell you, I'm out the other night. It's like the 5th night in a row we've been out drinking. I'm exhausted. Loving it, but I'm exhausted. And what do I think about? I didn't think about my bed in Rome. I thought about my bed here, in this very apartment. And I just think that means that this is home here now. And that's the joke, because this isn't my home. You'll see in the next tour location, because I'm trying to keep this thing going and trying to record this before I go to the next location. But I'll probably get to do 1 or 2 more episodes in here. Who knows? What I'm trying to say is it's not my home. And yet, I imagined myself in that situation. It was that comfort that I felt. So obviously, you have to ask a bigger, longer question of, well, where am I going to stay? Where am I going to end up long term? And I keep getting the opportunity to add more house swaps and stay in Toronto longer. And I keep getting reasons to stay in Toronto longer. And, I just, I sort of major motivation to move back to Rome as well was sort of changed as well. So I don't know, guys. I might be here for a little bit. And I'm trying to work it out. And I just feel like I'm asking myself a lot of big questions. And the main reason that I started this podcast is because I was asking myself big questions, and I had a lot of free time and I had a lot of time to myself and a lot of time to communicate with myself via you guys perhaps. But like, as I say, this is some strange form of therapeutic self-conversation reflection activity. And that's why I started it. But that was months ago. And that was just because I had time to myself, and I felt like things to chew on and things to think about. And the truth is that I was really looking forward to discussing those exact kind of things with real friends. And I would when I would get on the phone. But, nothing really beats sitting down and being with someone. And I knew I was coming back here, so I was looking forward to all of this. And I've arrived here, and all of these other crazy things have changed in my life, and it's just been such a tumultuous up and down for 2 months. And then if you count all the anxiety before, for many months before that. But all these changes that are happening now are what is getting discussed with friends, and I feel like I still haven't got the opportunity to talk with them about the bigger questions that, I was talking to myself about on here. But also the truth is that I need some time to myself to work these things out. And if not to work these things out, because maybe I've talked about them too much, but to put them into actuality. And, as these things change, you have to live in the reality of what the change is going to be to find out what it actually feels like and if it actually is going to work for you. And that's happening with being here in Toronto. I'm living it out. I'm living in this reality, and I would love to understand how I actually feel about that. And I'm working new jobs, and I'm trying other new professionally creative things. And I'm just trying to get a read on my own emotions. And the truth is that it's like sometimes when you discuss it with everybody, in some ways you haven't left time to discuss it with yourself, and therefore you've not thought about it at all. Almost talking about it so much, it kind of leaves no space for actually working out how you feel about things. So I am just so grateful to be here and be among friends and seeing so many people, but then I'm longing for my bed. I'm longing to get home and just work out what the heck is going on. Really, truly. So I'm grateful for a night like tonight where I actually get to sit down. But then I'm grateful for tomorrow when I get to see a friend and catch up with them. And maybe I'll have even seen them before this episode comes out, in which case this part will be a nice treat because they know exactly who they are. Anyway, as is becoming my customary sign-off, I'm not even sure if that was an episode. But yeah, I've had a difficult relationship with some creative things in my life. Music, I'm looking at you. I found it difficult to get off the ground and difficult to enjoy a lot of the time. And that's what stops me doing it. Whereas what I really appreciate about this moment right now is that despite the fact that I've chatted utter nonsense for, I can't even see however long, and here I am, I'm counting the clock. I told you this episode was me becoming what I never wanted to become. But what my point is that it's worth doing a shitty episode, and it's worth doing the things in your podcast that you said you weren't going to do, because at least you got to do your podcast. Because I haven't for 3 weeks now, 4, and I missed it big time, and I'm happy to be back. And if you made it to the end here, if you're with me now, bless up. This was not an episode, but I just had to get back on here. I promise there'll be real content in the future. Yeah. That's not what I think the problem is. That's what the hope is. That's what the joy is. And that's it for this time. Thanks.